Hello friends, today we are looking at my lip product collection and there's quite a bit of it going on here. You can only see a fraction of it in the frame. There is a lot more that you can't see off frame. I am just trying to divide them into finish type and then we're going to go through them. Now, I haven't counted them yet, I'm going to, but there's a lot. I do not intend to swatch all of these lipsticks because it would just take forever, and I'm just not that dedicated at this point. So I'm going to sort them all out, and as I'm doing that process, I'm going to figure out how exactly I want to tackle this, because I just don't think it's super helpful if I just hold something up and say, keeping, discarding, without any sort of reasoning as to why. So I'm going to muddle as I'm counting and organizing, and then we're going to dive right into this. All right, we're going to start off with lip glosses, and there are 30 of them to start with. I have gone through and decided which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to declutter. The ones I'm decluttering are on this row on the bottom, and then obviously the ones I'm going to keep are at the top. So to go through the ones that I'm decluttering, for some of them it's just an issue of shade. For example, these two from Odin's Eye, just not a fan of the way that these appear on my lips, and therefore I'm not going to keep them. Another one that I don't think is very flattering on me is this one from Rare Beauty. This is in the shade Nearly Petal. It is a very comfortable lip product, but I just don't like the way it looks on me. This is another one here where it's just an issue with the shade for me. It's just not a color that I tend to reach for at all. This is from Fenty Beauty. It's in the shade Ruby Milk, and there's no point in keeping it if I'm not going to wear it. This one here from Il Makiage, this is the Lip Service High Shine Lip Glaze in PDA. This one, it's just simply a matter of redundancy. I have so many brownie pink glosses that I just don't need this one, and I just don't like it as much as some of the others that I have, so that's what made the decision for me. This one from Wander Beauty, this is the Lip Retreat Oil in Skinny Dip. It's just a very, very sheer, very natural looking lip gloss. It is very comfortable. I have worn the absolute hell out of this. There is still product in here, but because there's so little in here, because I have so many other very comparable lip glosses down here, I'm going to part ways with it. And then with these guys here, it really comes down to how they feel and how they look on my lips. So this is the Lip Drip Fat Oil from NYX. This is in the shade Follow Back, and it is very reminiscent to the Gloss Bomb from Fenty. You can see that even in the tube, except it is far more sheer and far less comfortable on the lips than the Fenty. The Fenty, you can really see the sparkle coming through, and there is just a little bit more pigmentation to the gloss itself, whereas the NYX runs very sheer and the glitter that's in there is not very apparent on the lips. And overall, because they are so close and because I really vastly prefer the feel of the Fenty on my lips, I don't need to keep the NYX because I will keep reaching over it. Next, we've got one of the Moisture Surge Plumping Lip Glosses from Makeup by Mario. This is in the shade Hot Pink, which it is a very neon pink. I really wanted to like this because it was a rather unique color in my lip gloss collection. However, I really just like the way it looks on the lips because it just settles into all of the little lines that I have, and then it looks very streaky, so I'm not going to keep that. Likewise, these two here from Natasha Denona. This one is in, what have we got here? Calla and Peony. I'm coming at it from two fronts. One, I don't really like the formulation of these lip glosses and how they look on my lips. Again, they can look a little thin and a little streaky, and I'm also just not wild on the colors either. The pink is a little bit too light on me. The brown is just a strange shade and warmth level to it that it just looks a little bit off on my skin. So I just find that I very much neglect these, so there's really no point in keeping them. Then finally, to be decluttered is this one here from One Size. I wasn't quite sure how to categorize this because there's a lip gloss on one side and a liquid lipstick on the other. This is in the shade, oh God, I don't know how to say that, Jolapus, I guess? I'm not sure. Anyways, I really do not like the liquid lipstick side of this. It's not the most comfortable liquid lipstick I've ever worn, and the color just looks off on me. Like, it's just not a shade that I tend to reach for. It's just too pink for me, and it looks funny on my skin tone, so I never wear that. And then the lip gloss itself is quite sparkly. It's not bad, but I do not like layering a lip gloss on top of a liquid lipstick because I just find that it then makes the liquid lipstick, like, it almost like emulsifies it, and then it starts sliding around and just nothing looks great. So I very much wear them separately, except I don't get any use out of the liquid lipstick. And because this one's so thin, but I have other options that are fairly similar that I prefer more, there's really just no need for me to keep this. So for the ones that I'm keeping, for some it is simply to do with the color that they have. So in particular, these two, which arguably could be liquid lipsticks, they're lip stains. So this one from ABH is in the shade Hot Pink, and then we've got one from Fenty in Poutsicle. This one's a little bit deeper, a little bit more of like a raspberry tone, whereas the one from ABH is more of a straight hot pink, as the name would suggest. Both of them really do a great job at staining your lips, particularly the ABH, and I just find it really comfortable and really easy to wear. When I'm wearing really bright colors and bold colors, I really do like having that staining aspect to it, so that when it fades away a little bit more gradually. So I am going to keep both of these for that reason. I've got 3 here of the Rare Beauty lip oils. I would argue these are more lip stains than lip oils. And when I first talked about these on my channel, I raved about them. I loved them. Quickly, we've got the shade Hope, Honesty, and Affection down here, the deepest. I do still really like these, although I have noticed that when I wear them, they do stain my lips, and they do stain them for a significant amount of time. It's actually quite impressive. However, they tend to dry my lips out. So even though they claim to be a lip oil, that effect, that moisturizing effect really only lasts for a very short amount of time. And then I do find that I have to top up again because my lips start to feel uncomfortable. It's not as drying as, say, liquid lipsticks of 10 years ago were, but I do notice it, so it's worth mentioning to you. These two were never at any risk of being decluttered. Over here, we've got one from Clarins. This is the Lip Perfector in shade number 7, and this is just a My Lips But Better kind of product. Very comfortable on the lips, very easy to apply. It does add a little bit of color to my lips, but nothing significant. It's just one of those great on-the-fly kind of lip products that you can just throw in your purse. It's gonna like match any eye look that you're wearing, and you can touch up really easily on the go. The same can be said for this one here from Ilia. This is the Balmy Gloss, and I have it in Only You, which is a very pretty brownish pink. And it does offer a little bit of color on the lips, nothing too intense, but it is noticeable, it does show up. It's incredibly comfortable to wear, and again, super easy to just throw on the fly. Definitely going to be keeping that. Likewise, these lip oils here from Merit Beauty. This one is in the shade Maraschino, and then over here we have Taupe. And the Taupe is more of like a creamy kind of finish, whereas Maraschino is much thinner, although they are both billed as being lip oils, I believe. Am I right in that? Yes, tinted lip oils for both of them. They are, again, very comfortable on the lips. I really like having this in a lip oil, a sheer lip oil, because sometimes you do want a red lip, but you don't want like a red lip, if that makes sense. This just adds like a little hint of the color. You still get the idea of it, but it's just so approachable and so easy to pull off. Again, you can apply both of these on the fly without worrying about it going outside of the lip line or just being really fussy to apply. Very comfortable products. Same can be said, frankly, for this one from Sigma. This is the Renew Lip Oil. I would give the edge to the Merit one, but this isn't a bad second place option. This one in particular is in the shade All Heart. You can see, possibly, hopefully, that I have got quite a bit of use out of this already, and I plan to continue using it. So that one will be staying in the drawer. I do have another gloss bomb from Fenty, this one with the cream finish, and this is in the shade Peach Pout. This was part of a holiday set, 2021 perhaps. I can't remember, the passage of time doesn't mean anything to me. I really just like the color. I like having the option of having a light peach gloss, and I really do like how these feel on the lips. I've got another tinted lip oil over here. This one is from In Beauty Lab, and it is in the shade Pina Colada. It does have quite a fruity scent to it. It is rather strongly scented. Having said that, I like the smell of it, but it is a bit on the artificial side, so if you are sensitive to scents, you might want to give this one a pass, but it is very reminiscent to the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb. The shade is a little bit different. This one's a little bit more coppery, but again, very, very easy to use and very comfortable. Now, I do have Flush Fantasy, but I cannot find it. There's very, very little left in it, but I don't know where it went. It could be living on my desk at my office. That's entirely possible, but I couldn't find it in the drawer or anywhere in this room, so who knows. This one here is Divine Rose. I don't like it as much as Flush Fantasy, although the name of this shade is much nicer than Flush Fantasy. This one, I just prefer more of like a brown than a pink, but this one is sort of murky enough of a pink that it works for me, so I really like the formulation of the Pat McGrath glosses, so that's why I'm keeping that. This is very similar to Flush Fantasy. This one is from Milani, and I have it in the shade Teen Spirit. And it's a very, very similar color on the lips. I do like the Pat McGrath formula just a little bit better. It's just a little bit thinner, so it's a little bit more comfortable, but we're talking like just fractions of a margin. So I'm going to keep this as a backup to the Flush Fantasy one if I ever find it, or if I don't, I have this. So next up we have from Tower 28. This is the Juice Balm Tinted Lip Balm in, I don't know, that shade? Is there a shade? It says Mix. Is that the name of the shade? I have absolutely no idea. Anyways, moving on from there, you can see it's just a brown tinted sort of lip balm stick. Very, very easy to apply on the go. It does provide some coverage on the lips. It does show up as a color. It is very, very comfortable, so I want to keep that. And then we've got these three remaining here. We've got one from Bobbi Brown, one from Odin's Eye, and then NARS over here. I will say that the NARS is not my favorite lip gloss formula, but I really like the shade of it, and it's really not a bad lip gloss. There's just others that I prefer more so than this, but I like the color so much that I'm willing to forgive it, so keeping that. And then Bobbi Brown, this is one of the crushed oil infused glosses in Love Letter. I've long been a fan of these. Again, just very, very comfortable on the lips. None of these are long wearing. I really wouldn't expect them to be, with the exception of the lip stains that I talked about. But when I go into a gloss, I don't expect it to be long wearing because it's a gloss. So I don't hold that against them. None of these lip glosses are particularly sticky. If they were, they would have been decluttered from my collection long ago. This last one here is from Odin's Eye. This is in the shade Spectral. And now that I have it swatched out, especially beside the NARS and even the Tower 28 to some degree, I don't think I'm going to keep it. In total, I am decluttering 11 lip glosses, which therefore means that my collection of lip glosses is now down to 19. Now it's time to see what we can do with liquid lipsticks. Once again, we're going to start with the items that I'm going to declutter, and I will explain my reasoning. So let's get into this. Again, some of these come down to shade. Some of them, they have just gone way past their best before date, and it's showing in how they apply. And then in some of them, I really just don't enjoy the product in and of itself. So these two here from the Lip Bar, I actually really like their liquid lipstick formula, but I've had these for years and they are starting to fall apart. They are very runny and very liquidy now, whereas they never used to be quite that liquidy. And so I think the product itself is just starting to break down. So it's time to pass them on through. And then I have two that are incredibly sticky, and I just don't have time for sticky liquid lipsticks. We are beyond that. There are so many options available now that are comfortable that I just don't have the patience for those that aren't. So here we have one from Maybelline. This is the Superstay Vinyl Ink in the shade Charged. It is a really pretty deep vampy color, but I just can't get past how sticky it is. It really does seal your lips together, and that's just not the life I want to live. Likewise, I have this one here from House Labs. I have this in the shade, what is this? Red Coral Shine. And I really wanted to love this because I really like the color. However, again, very sticky and just a very uncomfortable product to wear once it dries down. So I probably should have returned it when I first bought it because I've only worn it the once. That's how much I disliked it. But I didn't, so here we are now. And then for the rest of these, it really just comes down to how old they are, or the fact that I'm just not wild on the shade. Or in the case of these two, I have alternative options that I prefer more. So I've got the NYX Smooth Whip Matte Lip Cream, which I actually really do like the product, but for whatever reason, I picked this up in the shade Feelings. It is a very deep teal color, and I already have a shade very similar to this in the Kaleidos formula. So I'll do a really quick comparison. The NYX one right here, and then from Kaleidos, this is one of the Cloud Lab Lip Clay. It's got a stupid name. Anyways, the shade name is Agave. As you can see, they are incredibly similar. There are some differences, but it largely isn't going to matter. If I just saw one swatched, I might not be able to tell which one is which. I really do enjoy the formula. That's this one here. That's the one I'm going to keep. And this one I will move out of my collection. And likewise with this one from Juvia's Place, this is in the shade Doo-Doo, D-U-D-U. And because my brain stopped functioning at the age of like 14, I will always find that funny because doo-doo. Anyways, again, I have another very similar Kaleidos lip product here. Of course, the finish is a little bit different, especially when I'm just doing a swatch like this. This will dry down to a perfectly matte finish, but I really don't need two matte black lipsticks in my collection. This one is several years older than this one, and I really do like the longevity of these lip clays, so that's the one I'm going to keep. For the rest of these, it just comes down to the shades. This one from Makeup by Mario is in the shade Mocha Latte, and it's a rather cool toned brown, and that's just not something that I wear ever, so I really don't need this one. Here from Rare Beauty, this is in the shade Brave, and this is one of her sort of moussey textured liquid lipsticks as well. And it's sort of like a rusty kind of shade, more orange. It's just kind of an interesting color, but one that I just don't really enjoy all that much anymore. I used to really like it, but now I'm either going to wear an orange or a brown or a red, not a sort of mixture of all of those. And then likewise with these two matte liquid lipsticks here from Odin's Eye. On the one hand, we have Swamp Fog, which is sort of an orangey brown shade. And then this one here is Shadow Creature, and it is a deepish browny sort of red, or reddish brown, if you will. And I have other shades similar to this that I prefer more. And then these sort of orangey browns, I already have a lipstick that is a very sort of mustardy brown color, and I really don't need multiples of those. So these ones are getting the boot. And then with the remaining three, these two, one from Il Makiage, one from Cheekbone, I just haven't reached for them in a very long time. And then with this one here from NYX, this is the Lingerie XXL, and I have it in the shade Pushed Up. And it's just too pink for my own liking. I just don't reach for colors like this. This is the drawback to ordering stuff online. You can never really tell what it's going to look like. I actually really like the formula of this product, but just not this color. So those are my reasonings there. And I do have one item here for my makeup purgatory. If you were watching my eyeshadow palette declutter, then you know what I'm talking about. But basically, when I'm not quite sure if I want to hold on to something or if it's time to let it go, I put it into makeup purgatory, and then my plan going into 2024 is to actually make a very concerted effort to actually give those items another chance, really formulate my final thoughts on it, and then decide from there what I'm going to do with the product. So this one is from Give, and this is the liquid lipstick in Original Recipe. As you can see, it is a bright red, and I do have a lot of bright red lipsticks, so I'm really trying to narrow down the formula so that I'm really keeping the creme de la creme, and I just don't remember how I feel about this one, so therefore purgatory. So these are some of the ones that I'm going to be keeping. I've got one from Cheekbone Beauty here, two from KVD, I've got another Il Makiage one over here, got NARS, MAC, Sephora, more Lip Bar, Dior, Gucci. These two are from NYX, got Makeup by Mario, and then one over here from Nabla. In terms of the formulas that you see in front of you, if I had to pick an absolute winner, I'm going to go with the Lip Bar, followed by the Sephora Lip Stain, and then, let's see, probably the MAC. These are the three most comfortable. The NARS is also very comfortable. It's a very thin formula, but I do find that it has less longevity to it than these other ones. The one from NYX is also very comfortable. That's not to say these other ones are not. These are just the ones that sort of rise to the top. Some of these I'm keeping simply because they are very unique to my collection. I do not use them more than a handful of times throughout the year, but this sort of vibrant orchid kind of color over here, I think it's just so pretty that I don't want to get rid of this, even though it's not something that I wear on a regular basis whatsoever. Likewise, the blue and the gray here from KVD Beauty, don't have anything else like them, so want to hold on to them. And then obviously keeping these because I love the formula of them. With these three, not only do I love the formula, but I also just love the color. In the viewfinder, let's see, they don't look particularly different from each other. This is a true vibrant red. This is an orangey red, and then this one is more of an orange. So although they are definitely siblings, they are not triplets. There is some very distinct differences there. And then over to here, these three are just very easy neutral shades to pair with any eye look. And then we've got a very deep chocolatey brown over here, perfect for this time of year. Again, not something that I wear on a regular basis, but I really do like to have the option. Another vampy lip choice over here. This one from NYX, the Smooth Whip in Laundry Day, is a very easy to wear, but somewhat warmer toned neutral shade for me. And then we've got more of a fuchsia over here. And then to round out the liquid lipsticks that I'm going to keep, we've got the bulk of them sitting over here. These are the Kaleidos lip clays. Now, I did mention in my eyeshadow palette declutter video, but it bears repeating here, I am on the PR list for Kaleidos, so when they send me their collections, they send me all of the lip products that are included in those collections, hence I have amassed a complete collection of their lip products. Now, I certainly could go through all of these and really just pick the ones that I like the most. You'll see that these are sort of categorized by lid color or the theming of the packaging here. Some of these individual foursomes are a little bit more thematically organized. Like these ones are all neutral nude shades. Sorry, I say neutral and nude interchangeably. I know that they are slightly different one from the next, but that's my bad. So these are all hitting along the same lines. Some of them have a little bit more pink in them. Some of them are a little bit more on the orangey side, but all very similar. I'm sure I could go through and just select one. However, there's something to be said for having the entire collection. I know at one point, believe it or not, I actually did do a lip swatch video with all of these. It did take quite some time because after a while it hurts. And then I had a mental health break and never got around to editing it. And on my worst of times, I went in and deleted all of my unedited footage because that was the headspace I was in at that particular time. So I'm not entirely sure I'm ever going to get around to doing that again because, like I said, it did take a very long time. But all that to say, I do want to keep the entire collection, if only to have it as a reference, but I really do genuinely love this liquid formula, this liquid lipstick formula. So overall, I'm decluttering 13 liquid lipsticks, which means I now have a total of 45 in my collection. And finally, we're on to bullet lipsticks, of which I have 66. These are ones that I am most definitely going to be keeping. Obviously, there's quite a few of them, and I don't want to go through every single shade that's in here, but I do want to talk very briefly about why I'm keeping them. So we'll talk Natasha Denona simply because it's right here. I just happen to really like the formula of all three. I will say they are a little fussy, so two of them have broken off and I've had to sort of melt them back down into place, but they're just very comfortable lipsticks to wear. I have them in all nude colors. One is significantly more pink than the other two, but they're just very easy to pair with essentially any eye look and comfortable to wear, so don't want to get rid of them. Then we have some here from Lisa Eldridge. I've got 4 of her lipsticks in mostly reds. There is a nude over here. These, again, very comfortable, feel very fancy when I wear them. I love that like magnetic close to the lid. These were wildly expensive and I don't want to part with them, A, because I like them, but also wildly expensive. We will get to the declutter pile. There is one in there that I am saying goodbye to, but I want to hold on to these and get more use out of these ones. Bite Beauty has unfortunately gone the way of the dodo, but before they did so, not only did they create my favorite mascara of all time, but they also came out with some really great lipsticks. I have Pomelo and Praline, and again, rather nude safe options, but that just means I get more use out of them, and I do with these, so they are safe. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember if LYS came out with these lipsticks in 2023 or in 2022, but they are lovely. I actually really like this thin application that they have going on here. I like that the tube itself is slanted so that the lipstick always maintains that shape. I have a slightly deeper option and then a more nude one over here. Again, very comfortable on the lips. They are a matte lipstick, but they're not drying at all or in any way uncomfortable. So these certainly have earned their spot in my collection. Over here, I have a collection of lipsticks from Lena Chu, which I got off of Beauty Bay. This came as a free sample of 4 lipsticks, and these came as a sample, and I really like all 4 of those. And I also really enjoy the full-size lipstick that I have. This one is in the shade Van Gogh, and it is a beautiful orange lipstick. From Fenty Beauty, I have Pumpkin Rose as well as Midnight Wasabi. I do not wear Midnight Wasabi with any amount of frequency, but I do want to have it on hand because when I want a green lipstick, it's nice to have one. So I'm going to hold on to both of those. And then as you can see, there are quite a few MAC lipsticks here, a variety of shades. We've got everything from Candy Yum Yum to Kinda Sexy, everything in between. So I am going to be keeping all of these. There are some that we're going to get to that are going into Makeup Purgatory, and there is one that's being decluttered, but I am keeping the vast majority of my MAC collection. Next, I have 2 from Charlotte Tilbury. I have Very Victoria and Pillow Talk. And again, very nude options that pair with any look and comfortable on the lips. They also just make me feel fancy. There's just something about the all gold packaging, so I want to keep those. And then I have 2 from Sephora, part of their Lip Stories collection. We've got Hot in Havana, which is a bright ass orange. That is the only way that it can be described. And then, as I was saying when I was talking about the glosses and having a more mustardy brown lipstick, it's this one here called Primal Instinct, and it is like the baby shit brown kind of color, which looks like it's going to be horribly unflattering, but with the right look, it actually is quite complimentary. Not something I reach for frequently, but nice to have on hand for those rare occasions when I'm ready to rock a baby shit lip. So that brings us down here then. We've got Milani, this is from Zara, Cheekbone Beauty, NARS, Gucci, Merit, Huda Beauty, Rare Beauty, NARS, Urban Decay, and then YSL. This is my most recent purchase. I bought this as I was gearing up for trial, and ultimately the trial did not take place because my mother passed away on the same day that the trial was meant to start. But I had bought this in anticipation of it to have a court lipstick. It was kind of a pre-reward, if you will. This is one of the Rouge Volupté Shine lipsticks, and from what I can gather off of this sticker, it's shade 150. Just a very sort of pinky nude, a tiny little bit of shimmer in there. But what I really like about these lipsticks is they are just so easy to apply, very sheer, very comfortable. And when I'm at court, it's a lot of talking, and there's really no opportunity to touch up in a mirror or worry about whether my lipstick's smeared, whether it's on my teeth, whether I've applied it in a weird way and it's all over my face. I just need something functional, something that's going to keep my lips hydrated but still look pretty, and this fit the bill for me. And again, it was just a nice little pre-treat that ultimately didn't end up being my trial lipstick, but I'm obviously going to hold on to it nonetheless. So then we'll move on to the items that I know I'm going to be decluttering. The vast majority of this is simply because I either have redundant shades in a formula that I prefer more, some of these are destroyed, and some of them are just shades that I just don't jive with anymore. So we've got some from Sephora here. For these ones, it just really comes down to the shade selection. Same with this one from MAC. This is Sea Sheer, and it's just not a color that I ever reach for. And in fact, when I do happen to reach for it, I ultimately end up wiping it off and going for something else because it just looks off on me. There's just something about its undertone. This is the Lisa Eldridge one that I was saying I'm going to declutter. This is Love of My Life, and it's just not a color that I ever wear. And then I have 4 from Il Makiage here. They're pretty much all destroyed. So this is part of the reason I wanted to do a lipstick declutter, is because I have most of my lipsticks in a drawer at my desk, but then I also do have a rotating holder where I had been keeping some of my prettier lipsticks like the Lisa Eldridge and the NARS one, and there's some others, and these ones as well. And then they got Benetted. So my 6-year-old son got his hands on them. Most of these are broken off. One of them is smushed so far into the lid that I can't get it out. So I'm actually just going to give these right back to him. They're already destroyed. He may as well have more fun with them. Likewise, he's done a number on this one here from Chanel, and it's a wee bit mangled. It is salvageable. You know, I have it in my declutter bin only because it looks like it's a nice deep vampy lip, but it's actually quite sheer, and I don't really love the way it looks on my lips. Like, I'd rather just wear a lip gloss, because when I want a color that's as deep as what it looks like it's going to be in the tube, I'm usually going to go for like a Kaleidos lip clay because I want full impact. So I've never really loved this lipstick to begin with, so the fact that it's mangled doesn't really bother me. I could salvage it if I wanted to, but it's just not a lipstick that I love, so away it goes. This one here breaks my heart to say goodbye to because I love the packaging so much. This is from NARS, part of their Claudette collection, and the stars just get me. However, again, this one has been Benetted, so you can see it's been layered with some stuff. But again, this is just a surprisingly sheer lipstick. It looks like it's going to be a fully opaque matte red, and yet it comes across as a thin, almost strawberry kind of color, and it just leaves me wanting more because that's typically not what I have in mind when I want a bright red lipstick. This one here, this I got in PR from Florasis. I like what they're doing. I like the uniqueness of it, but this is just a pain in the ass to store. It's also quite hefty, so I don't really even like carrying it around with me. And then the packaging itself is kind of weird, and I can tell by how undisturbed the lipstick is. There's all sorts of etching on it, which is really cool, that I just have not been using this because I don't want to fuck with this kind of packaging. And then with these ones here, it just comes down to what color they are, and I just don't really like how they look on me anymore. And then finally, these are my makeup purgatory items. So these are items that I do like the lipsticks themselves. It's just a matter of whether these colors still have a place in my collection. So I'm actually just going to swatch them right now just to see if there's any that stand out as ones that I can declutter without having to put it in the purgatory drawer. That is Cherries in the Snow from Revlon, sort of classic shade, if you will. And then we have Syrup from MAC. This is one of the luster lipsticks, so a very thin consistency to it. And then also from MAC, this one is Angel. And what is Angel? Angel is a frost lipstick. Again, this was sort of like an old school, everybody and their sister talked about Angel. And it is pretty, it's just very pink, and that's just not anything that I typically jive with. I'm gonna say goodbye to Angel. I don't need to put that one into the purgatory. Okay, and then we have this one here from Merit. This is in the shade Aperitif, one of their signature lipsticks. It's not red enough to be red. It's not pink enough to be pink. It's not deep enough to be vampy. It's not light enough to be nude, which may not be a bad thing. That may be a good thing. That's why I need to put it into the maybe pile and test it out and see how it actually looks when worn in combination with makeup. Because currently right now I got nothing on my face, and so every lipstick looks bold, but that may not be the actual case. Then we have this one here from Urban Decay. This is in the shade Gridlock, and I have like an orchid kind of liquid lipstick, which is very similar to this. So I want to put it in the maybe drawer and see if I do reach for it within a reasonable amount of time, and if not, then away it goes. If I do, then I will keep it. From Cheekbone Beauty, this one is in the shade Hockey. It is a really pretty pink, has a little bit of a satin finish to it, but I do want to compare that quickly with Candy Yum Yum. Candy Yum Yum has a little bit more blue base to it. Candy Yum Yum's also somewhat close to the Urban Decay, definitely not dupe. And I think there's enough difference between these two to merit keeping both of them. They also have a different finish to them. And then last but not least, I've got one here from, I don't know if it's Mob Beauty or M-O-B, I don't know. This was part of the Beautylish magic box or whatever the fuck it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I spent like $100 on this thing, and I will not do it again because I'd rather spend $100 on stuff that I select myself. Lesson learned. There were some good items in there, and then there were some that kind of whatever. I guess that's the nature of surprise bags. But this one I actually do enjoy. It is quite redundant in my collection. I have quite a few shades that are very similar. I'm just looking at one right here. No, you know what? I'm going to let that one go because I do have so many nude lipsticks. And see, I would reach for this or the Milani over the Mob Beauty one every day, just in terms of the actual shade of it. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter that one. So then I have 5 items going into the purgatory drawer. So overall, I'm decluttering 19 bullet lipsticks from my collection, and 5 are going into a maybe drawer. I've just brought these out, honestly, just for visual aids, because just seeing my hands sitting here is just kind of weird. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up very quickly. In total, when we started, I had 154. I have decluttered a total of 43 items, which means I now have a lip collection of 111 products spread between bullet lipsticks, liquid lipsticks, and lip glosses. I feel good about the amount that I was able to declutter. Again, there still are some sitting in makeup purgatory. I will update you guys at some point with my final decision on those items, but it's not going to be today. For today, we are wrapping this up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.